I put it to the cloud unless David doesn't think that we have enough storage.
That's it.
That's preferred. Yes.
Okay.
And here we go. Thank you, Andy, and welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be a current or former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches, either from the traditional or Pathways program, or you must have substantive relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate in a 3 to 5 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to board approval. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure that it shows your name and role. If you have one, right-click on yourself and select rename to do so. We do have members and oftentimes guests that are from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording our meetings, so your video and audio contributions may be used for club marketing purposes. Also, please mute your microphones when you are not speaking, turn off your cell phones or any other distractions. The theme of today's meeting, whatever it takes. Please help me welcome to the virtual podium our president, Mr. Lou Brown. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Sergeant at Arms, and welcome everyone. Sometimes I like to play the mute police. So if you happen to find yourself muted by accident, it may be me. Sometimes I just happen to go in there. Anyway, yes, welcome everyone. We do have a full agenda tonight. We have 3 speakers. I was going to give a little bit of a more extended opening since this is the very first meeting of our new Toastmaster year. It's hard to believe that a whole year has already gone by, and quite frankly, 4 since our club chartered. Time is going by so quickly. But yes, welcome everybody to a new year, a new beginning, a new member with Carolina who recently joined us, and certainly we'll have more over the coming year, I'm sure. I am going to have some remarks near the end of the meeting, again, since we have 3 speakers, because I don't want to take too much away from the agenda. With that said, please welcome to the virtual podium our Toastmaster of the day, Mary Ruth Dilling.
Thank you, President Brown. Welcome, everyone. I am so glad to see you. Tonight, on our first meeting of the new Toastmasters year, our theme is whatever it takes. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to reach goal? Whether that is DTM or your health, improved health, or that next promotion in your job. Today, we will be talking about whatever it takes. In a Toastmasters meeting, does not run itself. We have some helpers, and I am going to share with you who they are. We will start with our timer. Richard, will you please tell us your duties as timer?
Thank you, Mary Ruth. This is Rick Durling, and I will be the timer this evening. My job is to time all of the speaking roles, including and not limited to the speakers, who, unless anybody has shared with me otherwise, will be timed as follows. At 5 minutes, they are going to see the green screen, which will look something like that. And at 6 minutes, it will go yellow. And at 7, it will go red. At 7 minutes, they have 30 seconds to complete their speech. I will also be timing table topics using green at 1 minute, yellow at 1 minute, 30 seconds, and red at 2 minutes. And I will be doing much the same with our evaluators. At 2 minutes, they will get a green, 2.5 yellow, and finally at 3 minutes, they will get the red signal. That is my role tonight, and also to help make sure that everybody stays on time. Thank you very much, Mary Ruth. Back to you.
Thank you, Richard. Our next helper for tonight is Lucas. Lucas is our all counter. Lucas, will you please share with us your duties? I saw him earlier.
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. As your all counter, I'm going to listen to all of the crutch filler words that we commonly use in everyday speech. The ums, the uhs, the wells, the so's, likes, but, you knows, and some other things that may come up specifically to each speaker that they may use as a crutch word. So in the spirit of our theme, let's do whatever it takes to minimize the crutch words that we use. Back to you.
Thank you, Lucas. Our next helper is our grammarian, Marty Sandler. Marty, will you please share your duties for tonight?
Madam Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. As the grammarian, I will pay close attention to all speakers. And by that, I mean anyone who's speaking, not just the deliverers of formal speeches. I will be listening carefully to their language, usage. I'll try to notice any exceptional uses of the English language. And if I must, I'll note any unfortunate uses of the English language. Let's see, have we gotten to the word of the day yet? I don't believe so. Have we?
No.
Well, pardon?
No. Go
No?
ahead, share
Okay.
it, please.
It is my pleasure, unless somebody disagrees with me about it, to choose the word comprise, C-O-M-P-R-I-S-E, comprise. And this means is made up of. It is
Marty,
one
we
of the
did,
most misused words I've ever encountered.
Marty,
So-
we did have a word of the day on the agenda,
Oh, we do? Okay.
which is persistence.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. In that case, I will let whoever chose the word of the day be persistent and tell us about it. Back to you, folks.
Thank you, Marty. Okay, word of the day is persistence. When you persist, you continue on, you do not give up. You push forward.
Yes.
Our next helper, we are still in need of a watcher. So I'm going to move on to our chat monitor, which is April Ilazi. If someone can be a watcher and message me real fast, I'd appreciate it.
Thanks, Madam Toastmaster. My role as the chat monitor is to keep track of the various posts throughout our meeting. As needed, I will relay important information to the Toastmaster. When called upon, I will give my report. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, April. Our next helper is our vote counter. And Donna Knight has stepped in for that position. Donna, will you please share with us your duties for tonight?
Toastmasters, friends, guess what? Today we have our speakers, our evaluators, and our table topic speakers. One of them is your preferred speaker. Let me know and I'll share with you who it is that gets most of our votes this evening. Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have anyone who's willing to be watcher?
Oh, looks like Jeanette. I see a finger up.
I don't know. Okay, Jeanette, will you please share? Thank you for stepping in. Will you please share with us your duties as watcher?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Toastmaster. My role tonight as the watcher is to watch what's going on the screen, to watch all of you and making sure that you're well centered on your screens. And also at the end, I will give a terrific report about what I saw. So back to you, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jeanette. Now we are going to move into our prepared speeches. For those who may be unaware, our speaker order has changed a bit. We had a last minute fill-in for speaker 1, but she has requested to move to speaker 3 position. So speaker 2 will be 1, speaker 3 will be 2, and speaker 1 will be 3. Our first speaker for today is Natatia Vanellison. She is giving her icebreaker for the club, a diamond in the rough, a Toastmasters pursuit to polish and shine brightly. It's an innovative planning level 1, mastering fundamentals icebreaker. What does the idiom mean, a diamond in the rough, have to do with icebreaker and Toastmasters? Tonight is Natatia's first debut speech as an online presenter's advanced member, and thought it benefiting, since this is the new Toastmasters year and new executive committee, new beginnings and breaking the ice. Her pathway is innovative planning, which she desires to focus on developing a strong connection with audience members when she presents, speech writing, and speech delivery. A diamond in the rough is using resilience, perseverance, and a growth mindset to shine brightly as the diamond she knows she can be with proper skills and feedback as a member and leader in Toastmasters. Do you like to polish your diamonds? Please welcome DTM Natatia Vanellison, a diamond in the rough, a Toastmasters pursuit to polish and shine brightly.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening. Hello, everyone. I want to know how many of you have ever been told that you are a diamond in the rough? I know you have, and quite frankly, it is a compliment. So I am so happy to be able to finally break the ice and introduce a brief, just a little something about myself. A few facts about Natatia. And if you noticed, I pronounced Natatia. A lot of people mispronounce my name. I'm called Natatia, Natalia, but as long as you bring a smile, that is okay too. I'm married to my husband, Daryl, who is standing here now filming me. He's a big support system of mine. My furry baby Diamond, and they are the sparkles, the true sparkles of my life. I teach. I know that there are a couple of Donna. I know you're an educator. You mentioned that a few weeks ago. I am in the business department. I've been teaching for 26 plus years. I love teaching. I'm also a teacher leader. Yes, teachers can be leaders. A diamond in the rough. I consider myself definitely a diamond in the rough. I'm resilient, and I know you are too. As Toastmasters, we know that we must polish, we know that we are resilient, and we know that we are truly all diamonds in the rough. I want you to think about this poem. And this is a poem that I found to be me. And a diamond in the rough, a diamond in the rough. This is written by Bradley Wardle. He wrote this poem for his mother in an English class. A diamond in the rough is a diamond, sure enough. And before it ever sparkles, it is made of diamond substance. And I want to say that that was originally stuff, but I went to the VTCON and I heard Ms. Fripp say that you should not add stuff. But someone has to find it, or it never will be found. And someone has to grind it, or it never will be ground. Take a moment and think about that in terms of mentoring new members. I had wonderful mentors. That brings me to why I joined Toastmasters. I joined Toastmasters because I love Toastmasters, as you can see. And it's not just because of my friends, it's not just because of the confidence, and I'm still working on that, but it's because of the self-discovery, the opportunities that I've received, and you can agree, through local, division, and district leadership opportunities. I currently serve as area director, just recently appointed. And then Toastmasters also offers an ability to transfer what you've learned hands-on. So yes, I love Toastmasters. And my favorite role happens to be VPE, because I am able to look behind me, look within the coals, so to speak, and I can find diamonds. I can dig for diamonds, and I can help to polish diamonds as I am being polished. And lastly, I love Toastmasters because we're all like-minded people. We all have a growth mindset, and that's me. A diamond in the rough is always a compliment. Earlier, I asked you, have you ever been told that you are a diamond in the rough? And you thought that it was a compliment. I can truly say that I have been called and told that you are a diamond in the rough. And this was by someone who is in my profession, and I was aspiring to become, well, take her place upon her retirement. However, I said to myself, why did she tell me that? That is, I don't like that. I'm a diamond in the rough. So I went on and I looked and I decided, well, I looked it up, I researched, I love to research. And I noticed that a diamond in the rough is really just an idiom. It is metaphorically speaking, you're literally not a diamond. I mean, I'm not a diamond, but I do know that I can be polished. If you look here, if you look at this section here, you see my face. I am undergoing polishing right at this time. A diamond is usually, and it is, a coal made good under pressure. And whew, I'm shining brightly now because I am under a lot of pressure. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to meet you all. Make sure you find a diamond, you dig deep, and you polish that diamond. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the evening.
Thank you, Natasha. As one INFJ to another, I'm so glad to have you in our club. I must apologize. I completely forgot to have the evaluator give our speaker's objectives. Please forgive me. I was trying not to forget something, and I did. Our next speaker for tonight is Graham Cairns, and his evaluator is Carolina Ramirez. Carolina, would you please give Graham's objectives for tonight?
Yes, of course. The purpose of this project for the member is to apply the skills needed to successfully lead in a volunteer organization and to share today some aspect of his experience serving as a leader in a volunteer organization. He sent me an introduction. Graham Cairns is trying to develop the skills of a professional speaker and recognizes that sometimes he will be called upon with little or no notice to deliver representation on behalf of clients. To train himself in this skill, Graham is completing the presentation mastery path with all projects being impromptu. While he knows the general intent of each project, in this case to discuss leader in a volunteer organization, he does not know the specific title or theme, which he has asked the Toastmaster to give him before the meeting begins. So with a speech entitled "To be Advised," Graham Cairns.
Graham's title for tonight is just "Why Should I Volunteer?" He will share some of the benefits of volunteering. Please help me welcome Graham in just "Why Should I Volunteer?"
For about 15 years, my favorite exercise shoe has been the ASIC, first as a running shoe, more recently, I have to tell you, as a walking shoe. But what has a Japanese shoe company got to do with volunteering, and particularly the mental and physical benefits of volunteering? Well, this particular shoe, as I say, is an ASIC. ASIC stands for Anima Sana in Corpore Sano. My Latin is terrible, but you probably know the English phrase better. Healthy mind in a healthy body. And we've known in fact since the time of the ancient Romans, that if we want a healthy body, then we really do need to have, if we want a healthy mind, we really do need to have a healthy body. But I would argue that the same is also true in reverse. To have a healthy body, we require a healthy mind. And I'm not the only one to discover this. Terry Y. Yum and Elizabeth Lightfoot from the University of Minnesota have put together a study of hundreds of other studies about volunteerism in older people. And they found that volunteering is good for the old. They quote, for example, Luo and Herzog, who in 2002 investigated the impacts of volunteering on the oldest old, that is, those over the age of 70. And they found that performing more than 100 hours of volunteer work has independent and significant protective effects against health. A number of researchers, Morrow and Howell, Music, Wilson, Willigan, they all found that even a small amount of volunteering, as little as 3 hours per month, is related to better health outcomes among older people. This suggests that simply having the role of volunteer may be enough to have positive effects on the self-reporting of health and of functioning levels. So I'm going to actually put the report that I'm talking about here into the chat. This is a PDF file, and you can download this at your leisure and read it later. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here from my own personal experience. I first joined Toastmasters 40 years ago. I left and then came back about 6 years ago. But I first joined about 40 years ago. And independently, within a week, my mother had joined a Toastmasters club half a continent away. My father later joined her, and they spent much of that intervening 40 years, well, probably 30 years, as Toastmasters. And I have to tell you, the volunteering that my mum and dad did kept them healthy. Now, it didn't do a lot for mum's physical health. She became quite frail toward the end physically. And unfortunately, the onset of dementia in my father meant that he had to give up volunteering even earlier than mum did, but it kept them going for many years. Their why, the reason that they kept being involved in Toastmasters and in other volunteering is because it kept them sharp. And this is something that we have to do, ladies and gentlemen, as leaders in volunteer organizations. And can I get a show of hands here? Who here is or has been a club officer in Toastmasters? Why am I not surprised that almost every hand has gone up? Who here is or has been a district officer, an area director, a district director, a divisional director? Yeah, about half the numbers. We're all volunteers because, well, we've got our own reasons. And if you're leading a team, you need to find out what those reasons are. Everybody has their own why, and you need to ask, what is your team's why? And each individual member of your team will have a different why. For some, it will be because they see the direct benefit that they get from being a secretary or a treasurer or a vice president education. For others, it will be because they want to grow and develop as mentors. They want to pay forward what they have benefited from. For others, it might be the social aspect. There are a million reasons why your team might be volunteering, but you need to find out what that reason is so that you can help motivate them and help keep them on their path. Bear in mind that you are a role model for your team. Now, when we talk about leadership, there's a difference between leadership and management. Management is just making sure that everything happens on time and that sort of thing. Leadership means motivating and inspiring. You have the choice as a leader. You can either be Osiris or Osmosis. Osiris was the Egyptian god who came down from heaven and gave man learning and gave man things like laws and agriculture and was a teacher. Osmosis is the process by which we absorb that which is around us. And if you are negative, if you are as a leader, oh, this is not going to work, I don't like what they're doing, the instructions that we're getting from there don't work, then that's going to be reflected in your team. So you are a role model. You are either Osmosis, passing on lessons, passing on attitudes, or you are Osiris, passing on lessons. Choose which one you're going to be. Describe your successes to your teams, but also tell them what didn't work so that they don't have to make the same mistakes, but let them make their own mistakes anyway. And bear in mind that just because you are the leader of a team does not mean that you are the only one with ideas. I've been a whole swag of club officers. I've been an area governor and director multiple times. I'm now doing division director for the second time, and I am still learning, but one of the things that I am learning most is that my team of area governors, my team of presidents and vice presidents education have much better ideas than I do in some cases. So my role is to let them flourish. It's not my job to do, it's my job to, it's not my job to be to give direction, to tell them how to do things. It is my job to allow them to move that way themselves. So, as I say, you're either going to be Osiris or Osmosis. You need to make a choice. But most of all, you need to ask your team, what is their why, and facilitate that for them. Madam Toastmaster. You're still muted, Mary Ruth. Mary Ruth, you're still muted.
Or possibly she has a microphone problem. There we go.
Thank you. Now we move to our third speaker of the day, which is Elaine. And Mary Ann is her evaluator. Mary Ann, will you please share with us Elaine's objectives?
Absolutely, Madam Toastmaster. Elaine's job tonight is to practice the skills needed to effectively use public relations strategies for any group or situation. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share some aspect of her public relations strategy. Back to you, Mary Ruth.
Thank you, Mary Ann. All right. Will you please help me welcome Elaine? And I have no idea what her title is or anything. I apologize. But Elaine in her presentation.
Greetings, my fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, Toastmaster of the Day, Mary Beth Dilling, and anyone watching on replay. Today, I'm going to be talking about VTMCON and sharing with you some of the things that I gleaned to achieve what I wanted, and that was getting people to actually attend breakout sessions. Breakout sessions was a new addition to the second VTMCON experience, put on largely with the driving force of online presenters, but also from other innovative individuals and online clubs from around the world. In fact, 12 online clubs. In February of this year, I got a little knock on my door by Pamela Benjamin, one of the co-chairs, and she asked me, she placed a little seed in my head, a little seed of yeast, so to speak, saying, how would you like to be breakout lead for VTMCON? And I went, well, I don't know what's involved with that. I was so busy with so many things related to PR in the first event. Maybe I just want to take a rest. But she planted the seed and I said, I'll get back to you in a little bit. But, you know, that little seed was watered by the flower of all the great people in online presenters, especially. And the idea started being kneaded within my own mind. And I thought, okay, I can do this. And she said, besides, once the clubs, get on board, you're not going to have a lot to do. Well, that wasn't really true, but it got me started. So what I'm going to share with you are just a couple things that I had in mind to make the PR portion of my role as team lead for breakouts for VTMCON, what I think was actually a success. And there were three parts to it. First off, I knew I was going to be working with our illustrious David Carr, sharing the PR effort for the event. And he already had a website established, and I knew there was going to be things about the sponsoring clubs there. All well and good. I also knew that as things evolved, I would be putting out things at least to our club in our online presenters press, which, I put out from time to time when I felt ready. Most of the time it was always later, weeks later than I thought it was going to get out, but sooner or later it got out. So bit by bit, tidbits about VTMCON kept going out. And then as the 12 clubs were evolving in their plans to come up with a great 30-minute workshop, then I had to become the prodder. Come on, we got deadlines. Who's going to be doing what? We need the information for the program team. We need info for the Zoom team. And I was working closely with Sarenka Jenga, who was the Zoom master team lead. And I knew that most importantly, for whoever we were getting to attend VTMCON, after a speaker was finishing their segment, they were going to have to actually select a breakout attend, a breakout room event. And of course, for the 12 clubs that had decided, hey, we're going to rise to this occasion and do this, they were going to have to compete against, you know, the big guns presenter speaker that was there. So I then began thinking in the mindset of my son, who was a user interface designer. And I learned from him, you always have to keep in mind the user, like the attendee. How are you going to get them to select a breakout room? How will it be inviting? And so then Canva came to mind. We can use Canva. And so in the last 2 weeks in preparing for VTMCON, 2 things happened. A, I decided, you know, I've been developing a lot of great graphics for these groups. Maybe I can put together a video which will help the PR effort for overall registration. And I'm just going to screen share just a little bit and ask you whether you saw this video. Did you see it via email? Did you see it on VTMCON or in one of the Facebook groups? But this video was intended to show people VTMCON this year. Well, it was for all kinds of people, but it was also going to have these unique elements that it didn't have before. Not just our amazing keynote speakers, but also panel discussions and interactive breakout sessions. So I'm curious, I'm going to stop this now. Well, okay, this video actually showed what we're going to be at each of the 6 different breakout segments with 18 different choices. Let me stop this right now, get out of screen share, and ask you, raise your hand. Did you see that video? Did it made you want to come? David Carr, I'm curious. Do you think we got some more registrants because we had that video out? Anyway, I had great fun, and in the last week, we then also put together a video which we put out, which was going to be shown at the end of every speaker session to give every attendee the choice. Do you want to go in through door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? And they could make their choice, and we even had little icons. Anyway, hopefully this PR helped the dough to rise and people to come in and savor the bread, the goodies of breakout rooms. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Elaine. We had some excellent presentations tonight. Our timer, can you please give a timer's report?
I will also post it in the chat. Natasha was 6 minutes, 43 seconds. Graham was 7 minutes, 21. And Elaine came in at 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Back to you, Mary Ruth.
Thank you. Will you please take a moment as we move into table topics and send your vote for best speaker of the day to our vote counter. And our vote counter, you send it through private message, and our vote counter is Donna Knight. The next portion of our meeting is where we practice speaking off the cuff. Remember to use our word of the day, which is persistent. David Carr is our table topic master for tonight. David, welcome you to the virtual lectern.
All right. Let's talk about persistence. I'm going to call on a couple of guests at some point. Guests, you're always welcome to decline if you don't feel like taking part, but we assume you're brave and that's why you're here, brave and trying to get braver. But I'll start with a member. I want to know, is there a setback in your life that you're currently trying to overcome? You don't have to dig too deep into personal and embarrassing things, and of course you can always just make something up. But Lou, is there some setback in your life that you are currently trying to overcome?
That's an interesting question, Dave. And my gut reaction was to say, damn, where do I start? I could probably spend the whole 1 to 2 minutes just listing things. But then I realized, that really isn't the case, because I truly believe that everything I've done, even if those things haven't been done based on where I wanted to go, who I wanted to be, where I'm at now, I truly saw as a growing and a learning experience. I mean, that's what life is all about. We make the choices we make. Sometimes those choices turn out to not be so good in hindsight. However, we learn from those no matter what they are. I always see life as almost like a course correction mechanism. We're going down a certain path, but we have the guardrails, if you will, guided by our values and beliefs. And whenever we get a little too far from those, the guardrails kick in and we just kind of get back on course. Now, that doesn't really completely answer your question, but I will say that in part is why it may have been a little difficult for me to even think of one. I know there are some, and if I had a little bit more time to dig, I know I would find some, but I really feel so comfortable at where I'm at now. And I am the type of person, because of some of the learnings I've done over the past few years, and really letting go of the past. I just refuse to, sometimes it does come up under certain times, but I am learning and doing my best to really let the past go, because it's nothing we can change. It is a waste of energy, a waste of time, and it just serves no good. So I kind of prefer to be a forward-thinking person, not a backward-thinking. But you know what? If I do think of one or more, I'll send you an email about it. Okay, sir? Thank you.
All right. All right. Question number 2. Tell me about something that took you several tries to get right. And I'd like to ask Kimberly. Kimberly, would you care to answer? Are you able to put it on your camera, or do you?
No, actually, I'm not camera ready, so I cannot do that this time.
All right, just
but
go
I
for
will
it.
be, if you invite me back, I promise I will.
Okay.
I actually liked the last question because I had an answer ready. Let's see. Can you repeat the question, please?
Tell me about something that took you several tries to get right.
Okay. So there's a presentation that I give for my work, and it has taken me several times to get it right. I'm here tonight, though, and I shared this before, because I can get better. Other people do not notice that I'm not at my peak as I'm doing it, so I float by with it. But I do have it, I do present it completely and satisfactorily. I think that's, I guess that's a good example.
All right. All right, thank you very much. Question number 3. Who is your role model in terms of persistence? And I'm going to pick on Lucas. And it's not entirely just because I'm trying to distract you from being the eye counter, but Lucas, who's your role model in terms of persistence?
I think a role model that I would choose, and this just came up to mind. I was watching The Last Dance, which of course featured Michael Jordan. And within that documentary, you got a picture of all the things that he went through to get to where he got with the Chicago Bulls. A lot of times people will think he got into the NBA and championships just came, but that's not the case. And I was one of those people that thought that the championships just came because you count the wins, but you also have to count the losses and the adversity that that team went through. With that in mind, and watching the documentary, you saw that they faced teams and they went to the finals and they didn't win, or they got beat out in the playoffs. So there were downs. And then eventually he got to that point where he had the right people around him to eventually make it and win those championships and continue to win those championships. So that, I think, is one good example of persistence and sticking with it. Not only that, because he stuck with the same team. The NBA that we know now is structured in a way that superstars can kind of go wherever they feel that they have the best chance of winning a championship. You don't really get a lot of those stars sticking with one team throughout pretty much their entire career. So I think that is a testament to persistence, to stay with one team, stick it out, get the right people, and eventually win those championships. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
All right, very cool. Question number 4. As VP of Public Relations, one of my goals is to get more people to contribute to the blog. Tell me about the blog that you are going to write, or the first of many blogs that you're going to write. Pamela Benjamin.
Blog that I'm going to write, the first of many. David, I have a budding writer inside of me. I'm not sure where it is, but I know it's inside of me. It's got so many ideas. But whether the outside of me will sit down long enough for the inside of me to write is a totally different story. I have started a blog many times, and I will tell you that my main driving passion is fitness. Is OP going to have a fitness section on the blog? Probably not. But if I do write about something on the blog for your OP, I think I would write about overcoming speaking anxiety. Now, every single one of us, well, 90% of us have speaking anxiety when we begin, and maybe throughout our term as Toastmasters. But I think we always can get better at that anxiety. So put my name up for the post about overcoming anxiety, getting past it, being confident, and not letting anyone see that you're a little bit nervous.
Okay. Thank you, Pamela. And now you can have 2 weeks to write that. That's your deadline. A couple weeks from now. All right. Sometimes whatever it takes means taking help from others. Final question. How easy it is for you to ask for help, as opposed to maybe stubbornly or just independently wanting to work things out for yourself? Muriel, would you like to try that?
Sure. It's nice to be here, fellow Toastmasters, and David. The question is, when did I take help from someone, even though I may not have wanted to? Is that it?
Something along those lines? Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm a person who, at this age, I've learned that when I take help from others, that it also graces them with being insightful and enlightened as well. And so it's a mutually benefiting relationship that we can develop when we allow others to assist us, because in the process, the person that we're getting assistance from also gets help. It's like that kindness thing. You know, I was really intrigued by reading the study on kindness. They said that when you give kindness to someone, that person benefits. But not only does the person who gets the kindness benefit, but those onlookers get benefits as well. So the endorphins and the person getting the kindness and the person observing the kindness and the person giving the kindness, it's all mutually benefiting. So coming back to your question, David, I used to feel that taking assistance was somewhat hard to do. And being, you use the word stubborn. I don't know if I'd use the word stubborn, but somewhat reluctant. And so now I know that we live in this inclusionary society, this world that we're allowing others to help us so that they can get the benefit, I get the benefit, and we all feel good about whatever project or event or condition that we've worked on. So I'm really happy for that question, because it has confirmed and validated for me the importance of allowing others to be in my life, to assist me, because not only do I get help, they also benefit as well. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Right. So I think that's probably enough of the table topics. We should move on to evaluations soon. May I ask our timer to give us a summary of who qualified and how they did?
Our timing resulted in Lou Brown at 1:45, Kimberly Adams at 41 seconds, Lucas Calafel at 1 minute 38, Pamela Benjamin at 1:17, and Muriel Sabaz 1 minute 50 seconds. I will post that in chat.
Okay. So I think under club rules, Kimberly wouldn't qualify because she didn't make it to a minute. But please vote for the table topics talker of your choice. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Mary Ruth.
Thank you, Table Topic Master. Our next portion is where we get to learn what we did well and what we need to work on. Our general evaluator to lead in this portion is Antoinette. Will you please help me welcome Antoinette to our virtual lectern?
Thank you for that welcoming note. Good evening to Toastmaster of the Day and my fellow Toastmasters. I will not repeat what Mary Ruth said. I will just expand. I would like to rename this segment GBB, Good, Better, Best. Good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. I would now call on evaluator Roxanne to evaluate her speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Clearly, and Toastmasters guest, and especially Natasha, this is clearly not her first rodeo, right? We are talking about a seasoned speaker. Natasha had told me that she's working on her ability to connect. So in this evaluation, I'm going to be focusing on that. I'm going to start with something that really had nothing to do with the speech structure or delivery. And that is this. Damn, girl, you look good. You looked marvelous. first off, you thought to remove your glasses, which got rid of that distracting glare and allowed us to see your eyes. So that allowed us to connect. You showed us great respect by dressing up to present to us, and in a way that was relatable. The background was in keeping with your speech and a holiday theme. So all of that, great job on the connection. Great job on using your introduction to set us up. My recommendation for improvement is all about that connection. And I'm going to be addressing your opening, your slides, and your close with respect to the recommendations that I'm going to make that might strengthen that engagement that you already do so well. You opened with the question, how many of you have ever been told? Now, from the standpoint of connection, when the audience hears how many of you, you're talking to the masses. Well, that's not me, it's them. I suggest instead you go with something like, have you ever, or show of hands if you have. What now the perception is that you're speaking to me. So that will help with the connection. If you must use your slides, make them not so text heavy. As an audience, when we have to read instead of listen to you, it is distracting and it gets in the way of that connection. But what else happens in the mind of an audience when they see slides is that this is going to be instructional or educational or technical. For something like your story, I would suggest ditch the slides. You were telling us about you, your journey, your insights. So you were talking to us. Don't let the slides create that barrier to connection. Try this speech the next time you give it in another club without it. Maybe one slide to open and another to close and get rid of the in-between. Your niceties should never be printed on your slides. Words like welcome at the beginning or thank you at the end. Now, I know you didn't start with a welcome on the slide, and I do not remember if you actually closed with thank you, but that should be spoken. Your audience needs to hear it, not see it printed. But your slides were still up when you were closing. Get rid of them. Where you excelled with respect to your ability to connect with us was by that relaxed, genuine smile and that overall congeniality with which you addressed us. The conversational tone, despite the fact that you were using slides, at no time did you sound like you were reading or lecturing, and that helped to draw me in. With that, I hope I gave you something you can use, and thank you for that impactful message. Well-organized speech. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Roxanne, for that comprehensive report. I will now call on Evaluator Caroline to now evaluate Graham, Toastmaster Graham.
Thank you, Antoinette. The purpose of Graham's speech today was to apply the skills needed to successfully lead in a volunteer organization and share his experience with us today in a speech, and everything in an impromptu way. He gave an impromptu speech because he's trying to challenge himself to improve these skills. And Graham, you excelled in your impromptu skills, very good. Your pitch, the use of your hands, and you shared with us some material to support your speech. Great material. I read something and about the agent process, the relation between agent and leadership. Thanks for sharing that. Your eye contact, excellent with the camera. And you shared with us the benefits in health and the aging process of being a leader, and shared some experiences, share some of your experiences with us. Maybe you would like to improve in the following things. There are some things that are very difficult in the leadership process, like solve problems in a team, especially when the people is not being paid for the job, like in a volunteer organization. There are some challenges, and I would like to hear some things about those kind of problems, your experience, and how to give and receive feedback inside a team, the problem with the egos, etc., and how to pass your role to another person, the transition process. This is a very interesting process when you are leading some teams, and I would like you to share your experience, your advanced experience with us regarding those topics. And to challenge yourself, maybe to share a personal story about a specific topic, about leadership, about your experience leading a volunteer organization, because as I said, it's different when the people is not being paid for the job. You have more challenges, and I would like to hear more about that experience from you. But you totally achieve your objectives. You are a very professional speaker with great impromptu skills, and looking forward to hear your next speech. Congrats, Graham.
Very good, Toastmaster Carolina. I like your numerical approach without even saying number 1, 2, or 3. I'd like now to go on to evaluator Marianne to evaluate Toastmaster Elaine.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters guests, and especially Elaine. Your speech tonight dovetailed perfectly with your recent experience at the VTMCON. It was an excellent illustration of what a PR strategy is. You shared a lot of information and your enthusiasm for your role as the breakout lead. And by the way, if anyone was not part of the VTMCON, Elaine was dynamite, a very big part of this event, and she was fantastic. You gave us excellent advice about considering your audience when thinking about PR. Another opportunity to make your speech a little more engaging might be to add a little humor and a little engagement. So as far as engagement, you said something about, I would have started with a little knock on the door from Pamela and talking about that, because the way you did that, I think what you said before could have been condensed and then start with that. And I think that would have been nice, but like a little to, see everybody, catch everybody's attention. Another thing, maybe a little humor, when you talked about, you said Pamela was making her pitch to you, and in the end you said, that wasn't really true. And so maybe you could have been funny and just said, Pamela, I wish you wouldn't lie. Just something funny. So think about different ways to be engaging, but you did give us a lot of things to think about. Now, I don't think the video, as much of it as you showed, was effective. And the other thing is, not everyone here was as familiar as, say, I was with VTMCON. So the level of detail you provided may have been a little too much for some. I certainly appreciated it because I knew about it. But I want to thank you for taking us down through that path and letting us hear about your experience at VTMCON. And I am looking forward to your next speech. Thank you, Elaine. Back to you, General Evaluator.
A very thorough approach indeed by Marianne. I would like to find out from the timekeeper if every one of the evaluators were on time.
Unfortunately, Roxanne was a little bit over. We have at this point, Roxanne was 3:37, Carolina was 2 minutes 37, and Marianne Grady was 2:12.
Okay. Thank you for that's the timekeeper for letting us know about the times. Now I would like to call on my functionaries. Without them, my boat wouldn't be able to sail. So I call now on the counter, Lucas, to give his report.
Thank you very much. I'm going to screen share just now so we can see what we're working with here. You can see all of the roles from Toastmaster to all our evaluators and columns reflecting the different crutch words listed I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can see a bit better. But on column O, that's where each individual person can see their total number of crutch words. And down at the bottom, we can see our total on each crutch word individually. I put an asterisk next to my name because I don't know if anybody was listening for them. I certainly can't listen for my own while I'm giving a table topic speech. And this here shows the percentages of how often individuals use certain crutch words. I think it's that takes the cake this meeting at 41%. And over here, we see a breakdown of each individual member and how well they did, just in another visual format. That is my all counter report, and back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Oh boy, I like Lucas's digital approach. I would certainly try to use it in my home club in Tobago. I'm sure they'll be fascinated with that. Now we have Marty, the grammarian.
Sorry for the delay, I had to unmute. Well, I was really impressed with the overall level of the use of the English language. I'm eternally amazed at how well members of this club used English. It's a complicated language, very rich, but very tough to use. As far as word of the day goes, I only spotted David Carr using it, and he did twice. That doesn't mean nobody else did. It just means that I wasn't paying attention at the right time. And those of you who know me are probably aware that my attention span has gone down to about what it was when I was 3 years old. In other words, just a little tiny bit. So I apologize for that. But as I say, this club is amazing, and I'm so glad that I can at least say what I think, explain how well I think of all of us. Back to you.
Marian, thanks for being Kixie. You actually cracked me up. I'll now go on to the other functionaries. Jeanette being the watcher, followed by April, the chat monitor.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. General Evaluator. And for me, as the watcher tonight, it was really great seeing all of you on your screens. I really enjoyed the virtual backgrounds I saw, especially for the Natatia's virtual background, the diamonds in the rough. It was so nice. They sparkled, the diamonds, just like you, Natasha, you sparkled tonight. And also there were some very interesting other virtual backgrounds, like the one of Marianne Grady with persistence. And I saw like nice flowers. It's very nice to see. Well, overall, all of you were all centered on your screens. I saw several people smiling, which is very, very nice in a meeting. And yeah, we got to see some very good PowerPoints from Natasha again, and everything went great. So I have nothing bad to say, only beautifulness and niceness from all of you. So back to you, Mrs. General Evaluator.
April, you can go right ahead and do your report.
Okay, thank you, General Evaluator. The chat today was fairly quiet during today's meeting, but there were helpful and humorous comments in the chat. Andrew shared a tip about moving the timer to ensure for the speakers to make sure it's easier to see. There were some humorous chat regarding the table topics. Some of us did start fangirling over Lucas's all-counter Excel document because that was pretty cool and very impressive towards the end. But thanks for the chat for today, and back to Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you. I now call on Donna Knight, the vote counter, and she will give the required votes along with announcing who are the best speaker, who are the best evaluator. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Evaluator. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. I have counted those who have stayed in time, and so for our preferred speaker, I want to say congratulations to, I'm not hearing the drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. For our table topic speaker, congratulations. Our guest, please come back again, and congratulations for our evaluator of the evening. I'm so sorry you didn't put your surname. I will have it later. Congratulations to all. Continue being the best, and we look forward to hearing other speakers again next week.
I really like your format, Donna. It's unusual. I can't recall seeing it like that. Again, I'll put that into practice in my brick-and-mortar club. Right, so I will give my evaluation of the meeting. Now, the speeches were great, especially with Natatia when she spoke about diamond in the rough. She spoke about basically perseverance without even mentioning the word perseverance. Graham, Toastmaster Graham spoke about volunteerism. I was thinking, well, volunteerism is a lot of work, more work than me, but I like that he put a different perspective. And of course, Elaine, recognizing that she's an encourager and she's also a hard-working member. I also thank all my functionaries. They did their parts very well. I didn't have to prop them. I didn't have to tell them, well, do your part. So I like that. And I just would do some recommendations. First of all, it was a low attendance meeting. Basically, we started at 21, going to about 22. And it was small in number, but very cozy, I must say. As well as, the only thing is that we didn't really have a watcher at the start of the meeting. Also, for one of the speakers, no introduction was done. I don't know whose fault it was, if it was the fault of the speaker or the fault of the Toastmaster of the day. Generally speaking, I enjoyed this meeting. Certainly, I'm sure that all of us will be back again the following week, Monday. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Antoinette. Now I will return this to, who do I give it back to?
That'd be President Lou, I'd imagine.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yes, the president, Lou Brown. Please help me welcome Lou Brown back to our virtual lectern.
Thank you very much. This is going to be very quick, folks, because I have a class that starts in 1 minute, so I do have to run. But yeah, interesting observation, Antoinette, with the attendance. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Nick used to regularly get 30 to 35, maybe 40. I'm already intimidated. I got 20 the first meeting of the year. But I know it's, you know, who knows? It could be the holiday weekend. You never know. I did want to say a few quick things real quick. Fortunately, I'm a very fast talker, so this probably will come up very quick. Thank you to the entire VTMCON group. I know I've sent texts and emails thanking you, but really thank you from the bottom of my heart with all the work that you folks did, and especially Elaine, who I worked with on the breakout room activity. Thank you to the prior board. I know we're going to have a celebration, kind of an end of year celebration meeting coming up this month. We haven't nailed that down yet, but we will have that soon. One of the things, and of course, thank you to my vice president membership family, who is Sarah, who is not here with us tonight, and Andy, thank you both for your help throughout the year as well. You folks were just indispensable. One of the things as president and as an entire executive board is to come up with a vision, our why, our purpose. Somebody mentioned that word early in the meeting. I can't remember who. Every board has their own vision or kind of legacy that they'd like to leave. And I have to say, when I think about with our club, geez, what are some areas that we can grow and improve in? Every person can, every group can, every club can. You heard from my own table topic, how that's something I'm a fan of. But I'm thinking, man, this is like trying to improve Simone Biles. I'm like, what more can we do? Our membership is incredible. Our speeches are so professional. Our meetings run so smoothly. So I think with that said, we're probably going to have a little bit more of a, I guess, discussion about exactly what we want to leave for our legacy. We do so many things right now, and I certainly invite our guests to come back to learn more about what some of the events we have, and also check out our website. We post everything there that you can see the other wonderful things we do outside the club. We do, I would like to ask our guests for some feedback. And again, I do have to run, I apologize. This is my last night for class. So next week I'll be able to spend some time afterward. If some of our board or members could stay afterward and just ask our guests what they gained from the meeting, I'd really appreciate that very much. So with that, I'll close the meeting. Please turn the recording off. Actually, I can do that, can't I? Meeting officially adjourned.